Hey everyone, my name is Billy Wink. I'm the CEO of HV Auto, and today I'm going to talk to you about one of my favorite Porsches you can buy, the 981 Cayman GTS. So we're going to do basically like a little buyer's guide here, go over some of the specs, the features, all the things that we love about the car, some market insights, and just give you all the facts that you need to know about this car so you can make a good decision buying one. So a couple specs on this car is it's a 3.4 liter flat six. It's got 340 horsepower. It's got 276 foot-pounds of torque. The red line is 78 RPMs, 0 to 60 in 4.1 seconds, and you have the option of a 7-speed PDK or a 6-speed manual. The 2015 model, they only made 534 models, and in 2016 they made 539, for a total number of 1,073 units produced in America. So if you're looking at buying one of these, a lot of people are going to say, well, what's the difference between this and a regular S? So basically you're going to have a different tune, which is the 15 more horsepower. You're going to get the third radiator in the front, sport design front and rear bumpers, PASM comes standard, Sport Chrono comes standard, and then also has an Alcantara interior package with the sport design steering wheel. And then also with the GTS model, it has a more aggressive sound pipe for the interior noise. And one thing to consider, the GTS sport exhaust is not the same as an S or a base sport exhaust. Porsche engineers the exhaust differently, so it has a much more aggressive sound, and they also have less sound deadening in the car, so you can really hear the sound better, which makes a really unique sound for the GTS. The big question is, why should you get this car over a base model or an S? Well, a couple things to consider, right? The price point you're looking at this car and currently is around 70 to 80K for this car, which also has been about the same for the past 4 years, which is a good thing because the car has built its value because the market sees the value in buying this car. Comparing it to the S though, okay, you get a little bit more power, but which isn't huge, but the sound is phenomenal. The looks are significantly better, but then also the driving experience is better in my opinion because the noise gives you more of an emulated, the noise just gurgles more when the car downshifts, and it just gives it such a great feeling when you're driving this car or taking the red line. It just has a phenomenal sound. So those are a couple things. I mean, yes, the price tag is about 15 to 20K higher than an S model. In my personal opinion, if you're looking at buying, you know, a 911 that's maybe a 991 base or an S, you might want to consider this car as well because it's just a lot of car for the money. They're consistent in their values, and I don't think you're going to take a bath when it comes to resell this car because I don't think the demand for this car is going away anytime soon. So I'll just talk about some of the things I love about this car. Obviously, you've got the Alcantara package in this car. It's got the red stitching. It's got the 18-way seats. It's got the carbon package. So these are some of the options that aren't standard on this car that I love. But the sport design steering wheel, when you're in this generation, you don't have the push button, which I don't prefer. I like the paddle shifts, which are super nice on this car. Obviously, it's standard with the sport exhaust. You've got Sport Plus, all that good stuff on the inside. But just kind of giving you a look on the inside, what kind of sets this interior apart. You've got the Alcantara here, obviously here as well. It's all over the glove box. And this car actually has a really cool package, which is the illuminated door seals, which I like a lot. You can also see over here, it's got the deviated stitch on the door panel, so it's a really good spec, but it also is kind of, you know, some of these things are standard on the GTS interior package, which I love a lot. You lose the back seat space, but you do pick up some storage space. So this compartment's pretty much like any 9X1, so 991, 981. If you don't know the terms, 911 or Boxster. You've got pretty good amount of space here. You know, the spare tire inflation kit, because these don't come with, you know, spare tires anymore. The tool kit here in this car. But, you know, considering there's not a lot of stuff nowadays the dealer wants to do, the tool kit's like, you know, a tow hook, a wrench, and a screwdriver. But it does come with some of those things. And then see under here is where the brake fluid reservoir is, your windshield wiper reservoir, battery, cabin air filter. So just kind of like the standard front of a 911 or Cayman. But it does have a good amount of storage space. So we've got the rear compartment here. Obviously you lose the back seats, but you pick up some more space here. Just a couple little quick things to point out. This is where your coolant would go in this vehicle. You put your oil here as well. It's nice and hidden. The engine right here, obviously you can't see it, but they do make some cool aftermarket kits where you can have a clear cover. See with the new GT4S, you know, they've got that sweet intake assembly. So maybe you still want to make something like this for this car. You've got these hidden compartments here as well for storage. So there is some extra storage space in here when you lose the back seats. It's still a sports car, it's still a mid-engine car, so it's not gonna have a ton of space, but you know, when you're buying something like this, that's not always the main concern. The other thing that people consider is common problems and maintenance. So we'll start maintenance. Porsche is the most reliable sports car on earth. Yes, I'm biased, but I think it's true. So with these cars, you know, it's not like the Ferrari with the timing belts and all these extra, you know, extended maintenance costs that you'll have. This is pretty simple. You've got engine oil and filter every year, or 10,000 miles. I recommend 5,000. Some people go to 7,500, but I'm just a little bit more proactive on my oil changes. Then you've got the brake fluid flush. That's done every 20,000 miles or 2 years. You've got the cabin air filter. Now, you can also test the brake fluid for the moisture content. Sometimes in the environment you're in, it could need it done sooner. Then every 3 years, we recommend a coolant flush. Porsche doesn't, but that's something we just recommend from our experience, and also helps prevent water pump failures on these cars. At the 4-year mark, you've got the cabin filter, the brake fluid, air filter, engine oil and filter, and spark plugs, which is considered your major service on these cars. And then we also go the extra step and recommend doing the PDK clutch fluid, not the differential fluid, but the clutch fluid every 4 years of 40,000 miles. And then basically that'll repeat over and over again, except for 6 years or 60,000, you got the drive belt. And in some cases, you'll go and take care of the tensioner on these cars, which we'll talk about that in some of the common problems aspects of this car. And then Porsche recommends at 120,000 miles to do your differential fluid, or 12 years. Kind of around the 8-year mark on that. It depends on the car's use. Sometimes it is a little bit more cost effective at the 4-year mark when you're on the clutch fluid to do the diff fluid as well. But it's pretty simple intervals on this car. You know, you don't have a lot of extra things with the other exotics to take care of on this car, and they're pretty reliable from the most part. So some of the common problems with the Cayman, which it's a very short list, we'll start with the engine. You've got the dry belt tensioner, which can leak fluid over time, and basically once it leaks all the fluid out, it can collapse and cause the belt to derail, which you don't want. The good news is, most service shops, when they're servicing the vehicle, they're going to do that inspection and let you know if that's a problem. The other problem in the engine area is the water pump. So it's kind of a known problem with Porsches that around 60 to 100,000 miles you may have to do the water pump, but that's why we recommend the coolant flushes, because we found that does help prolong the life of it. The other problem that's common across all 9X1 platform, which means Cayman, Boxster, 911 from 13 to 16, is the changeover valves. So we've seen issues with that, and usually you'll see like a coolant fault light on your dash, and that's most likely almost every time a changeover valve. And there's about 7 or 8 of those in the car, and Porsche basically came out with a bulletin saying that these all need to be replaced because they're problematic. But that's pretty much all of the engine troubles you'll see with this car. The problem that we see sometimes is sticking exhaust valves. So this isn't necessarily engine related, but it can cause the sport exhaust not to work properly, or it could stay valve open or valve closed. But basically what happens is corrosion gets built up on the valves, so you've got 2 options. In some cases you can clean the valves and lubricate them. In other cases you have to fully replace those. But that is an issue we've seen with these cars, specifically any Porsche sport exhaust equipped vehicle. One of the other small problems with these cars, which is more again across the whole platform of 911s, Caymans, and Boxsters, is the door panels will come unglued right here. Obviously you can see this car is a great example. But what will happen is the glue from the factory installation of the door panels to the panel that holds it to the door will start to come loose, and this will start to rise up, and you'll see it rising up here. Sometimes you'll see ripples in the door panels. Now, the good news is people recommend replacing the whole panel, but we actually have a solution where we can fix the door panel. So if you're interested in that, there's a YouTube video that we talk about this on. Another area we see is the dash. We'll see the glue come undone, and you'll notice that the dash will come unglued right here at the seam. In some cases, the leather will actually start to shrink and even peel up. So that's something to look out for on these cars, but as you can see, this is a great example of what the dash should look like. So the last thing is the headlight delamination. Again, this is more across the whole Porsche model line, but we have seen where the lights will start to look like they're scratched and damaged, and in some cases you can wet sand it out and polish it, but in some cases it's replacing the whole headlight assembly. So on this car, it's very good condition, but it's just something that you might want to consider when buying one of these cars pre-owned. So that pretty much wraps it up for this car. It's one of my favorite Porsches in my opinion, especially for the price point. So if you're looking for a really fun car without breaking the bank completely, I think you should definitely look at the Cayman 981 GTS. In fact, this is an exceptional example. It's got about 40K worth of options on it, and it's for sale on our website. So if you're looking, consider this one. But I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, comment below. And if you want to reach out to us with any questions about your car, buying a car, or service, just let us know. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.